Dr. Michelle Chen stared at her computer screen, and what she saw was about to make her heart stop. A bank transfer. $2 million. Anonymous. But wait a minute. How was this even possible? April 3rd, 2024, Stanford Medical Center, Palo Alto, California. Dr. Chen was reviewing the research fund accounts that morning. The notification sitting in her inbox was about to change everything. But that wasn't even the shocking part. The real story had started 7 years ago, and nobody knew the truth, let me tell you. September 2017. Dr. Michelle Chen was leading the most promising pancreatic cancer research team in North America. They were close, so close to a breakthrough. The experimental treatment had worked on mice, 92% success rate. But here's the thing, they needed human trials, and human trials cost money, lots of money. The university had given them a deadline, 6 months to secure funding or the project gets shut down. Dr. Chen had applied for 37 different grants, rejected, all of them. The research was too experimental, too risky, too unproven. That September night, Dr. Chen sat in her empty lab, microscopes covered in dust covers, equipment boxes already being packed. Her entire team of 14 researchers was about to be disbanded. 7 years of work, gone. But right at that moment, something happened. Something that nobody, absolutely nobody could explain. The next morning, Dr. Chen's assistant ran into her office. Her face was white. She could barely speak. The university's finance department had just called. An anonymous wire transfer had arrived. $2 million. Exactly the amount needed for Phase 1 human trials. Dr. Chen froze. Who sends $2 million anonymously? The transfer came from a numbered account in Los Angeles. No name, no company, no foundation. Just a reference number and a single note typed in the memo field. For the kids who are still fighting. For the kids who are still fighting. Dr. Chen immediately started investigating. She called the bank. Privacy laws blocked any information. She contacted the university legal team. They couldn't trace it either. She hired a private investigator. Dead end. The account was registered to a trust with layers of legal protection. Who does this? Who sends $2 million and asks for nothing? Not a tax receipt, not a thank you letter. The timing was too perfect. The amount was too exact. And here's where the story gets even stranger. 6 months later, March 2018, Phase 1 trials were showing incredible results. 68% of patients responding positively. The research was working, but they needed more funding for Phase 2, larger trials, more patients. The estimate, another $3 million. Dr. Chen was preparing grant applications again when her assistant brought her an envelope, hand-delivered to the research center, no return address. Inside was a cashier's check. $3 million, and the same note, for the kids who are still fighting. Dr. Chen's hands were shaking. This wasn't random. Someone was watching their progress. Someone believed in them. Someone with very deep pockets and a very personal reason. 2018 passed. 2019 passed. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 7 years. For 7 full years, every time Dr. Chen's research team hit a funding wall, money appeared. Not all at once, just enough, just when they needed it. Anonymous, mysterious, unexplainable. The total over 7 years, $18 million. And here's the most incredible part. The treatment worked. By 2024, the experimental pancreatic cancer treatment had a 74% survival rate. 74%. For a cancer that used to have a 6% survival rate. The medical journals were calling it a miracle. Dr. Chen knew better. It wasn't a miracle, it was persistence. And a mysterious angel who kept them alive when everyone else had given up. Fast forward to April 2024. Dr. Chen was preparing to publish the final research paper. 7 years of results, hundreds of lives saved. She was sitting in her office when her phone rang, a number she didn't recognize. Los Angeles area code. The voice on the other end was weak, tired, but trying to sound upbeat. The voice said he was calling from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He said his name was Justin Bieber, and he needed to tell her something. Dr. Chen almost dropped the phone. Justin Bieber? The pop star? Why would he be calling her? Justin explained. He'd been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 3 months ago. Stage 3. Aggressive. The doctors had given him treatment options, but the prognosis wasn't good. And then his oncologist had mentioned something. A new experimental treatment, developed at Stanford, showing incredible results. Dr. Chen's treatment. Dr. Chen was listening. Her heart was racing. And then Justin said something that made her freeze. He asked if the treatment was still being funded by anonymous donations. He asked if the donations had continued. He asked if they were still getting the support they needed. Dr. Chen's brain was connecting dots. The Los Angeles account, the timing, the amounts, the phrase, "for the kids who are still fighting." And then she remembered something. A memory. September 2017. There was a young man who had come to the research center that month. Baseball cap. Sunglasses. He'd asked for a tour. Said he was interested in cancer research. A graduate student had shown him around. The man had stopped at the children's wing. There were photos on the wall. Kids who were in the trials. Kids who were fighting. Kids with bald heads and brave smiles. The man had stood there for 20 minutes, just looking, just reading their stories. The graduate student had mentioned it to Dr. Chen later. She'd thought it was strange, but didn't think much of it. But now she understood. Dr. Chen asked Justin directly, "Was it you? All these years? Was it you?" Justin took a deep breath. He said yes. He said all of it. Every donation, every transfer, every check. For 7 years, $18 million total. Dr. Chen asked the question everyone would ask. Why? You didn't even know these kids. Why did you give $18 million? Justin's voice got quiet. He explained that when he was 23, his little cousin Kelsey had been diagnosed with leukemia. She was 6, the same age as some of the kids in those photos. The treatment worked. She survived. But Justin had watched what it did to his aunt and uncle. The fear, the helplessness, the desperate hope. He'd been visiting Kelsey in the hospital. She was sleeping, bald from chemo, tubes everywhere. His aunt was sitting next to the bed. She hadn't slept in 3 days. She looked at Justin and said she would give anything. Her house, her savings, her own life, just to save her daughter. Justin had $17 million in his bank account that day, and he realized something. His aunt would trade everything for her child. He had everything, and there were thousands of parents watching their children die. Not because treatment didn't exist, but because funding didn't exist. He'd promised himself he would help kids like Kelsey, kids who were fighting, kids who needed someone to believe in them. So when his cousin recovered, he'd started researching. He'd found Dr. Chen's team. He'd read about their work, and he'd decided to fund it. Quietly, without publicity. Just like someone had once helped his family during their darkest time. But now, Justin was sick too. The same disease, pancreatic cancer. And the only treatment that could save him was the one he'd been funding for 7 years. Dr. Chen's world spun. The man had helped save hundreds of children. And now he needed that same help. The irony was devastating. The poetry was undeniable. Dr. Chen told Justin to come to Stanford immediately. They would start treatment right away. Justin said he couldn't afford it anymore. The donations had drained his savings. His tour income had stopped because he was too sick to perform. His medical bills were piling up. He'd called not to ask for help, but to make sure the research would continue even if his funding stopped. Dr. Chen made a decision right there. She told Justin the treatment would be free, completely free. He'd paid for it already, 7 years of payments. This was just his turn to receive what he'd given. And this is where the story went viral. A nurse at Stanford had overheard part of the conversation. She knew who Justin was. She knew what he'd done. She couldn't keep it quiet. She told one person. That person told another. Within 48 hours, the story leaked to a medical blog, then to Twitter, then to everywhere. Entertainment news picked it up. TMZ ran the headline, "Justin Bieber secretly funded cancer research for 7 years, now fighting same disease." The article went live, and guess what happened? 5 million views in 6 hours, 20 million views in 24 hours, 50 million in 48 hours. The comments section exploded. People were sharing their own stories. A mother posted that her daughter had been in Dr. Chen's trial in 2019. She'd survived. She'd just graduated high school. She had no idea Justin Bieber had paid for her treatment. A father wrote that his son had been part of the Johns Hopkins study. The boy was now cancer-free for 4 years, working, living, breathing, because someone had funded hope. The stories kept coming, hundreds of them, thousands. Families who'd been touched by research that Justin had quietly funded, lives saved by money he'd given without ever asking for recognition. Children who were alive because a pop star had chosen research over mansions, over publicity. Celebrities started sharing it. Taylor Swift shared it. Ed Sheeran shared it. Ariana Grande posted a tribute video that got 18 million views alone. But here's the really incredible part. People started investigating. Medical journalists, financial reporters, academic researchers. And this came out. Justin hadn't just funded Dr. Chen's team. He had secretly donated to 43 different cancer research programs across North America. Over 9 years. All anonymous. The total amount, $76 million. A researcher at Johns Hopkins came forward. Justin had funded their brain cancer research for 4 years. $3 million. They'd never known who the donor was. A team at MD Anderson revealed Justin had paid for their childhood leukemia trials. 6 years of funding, $11 million. A lab at UCLA announced Justin had been their primary benefactor for melanoma research. $8 million over 5 years. Nobody had known, because Justin had specifically required every donation to be anonymous. No publicity, no press releases, no naming buildings after him. Just help. Quiet help. For kids who were fighting. The internet exploded. Within 1 week, a GoFundMe campaign appeared. Help Justin Bieber. He helped us first. The goal was set at $5 million to cover his treatment costs. It raised $23 million in 11 days. Justin posted a video from his hospital bed at Stanford. He looked thin, pale, hair falling out from chemotherapy, but he was smiling. He said he was overwhelmed. He said he never expected this response. He said the money wasn't for him. It needed to go where it mattered most. Justin redirected every dollar to cancer research, all $23 million. He split it among the research teams he'd been funding. He made sure they could continue their work. He made sure kids would keep getting the treatments. He made sure the research wouldn't stop. Dr. Chen's treatment worked. Justin completed 8 months of aggressive therapy. By December 2024, he was in remission. The experimental treatment had saved his life. The same treatment he'd funded 7 years earlier had come back to save him. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The medicine that saved Justin's life had been developed with his own money. Money he'd given when he was healthy, when he had no idea he'd ever need it himself. Money he'd donated not for himself, but for children he'd never met. And now that same research had circled back. Full circle, complete. Dr. Chen called it poetic justice. Justin called it proof that helping others always comes back to you. The medical community was stunned. If Justin hadn't funded the research back in 2017, the treatment wouldn't have existed in 2024. His own survival had depended on a decision he'd made to help strangers. Today, in 2025, Justin Bieber is cancer-free. His treatment was successful. His recovery was complete. And at Stanford Medical Center, there's now a research wing. Its name: the Anonymous Angel Foundation, for kids who are still fighting. The plaque doesn't mention Justin's name. That was his requirement. But everyone knows. Everyone understands. At the opening ceremony, Dr. Chen gave a speech. Hundreds of researchers, patients, and families stood in front of her. She said that 7 years ago, a young man had walked through their facility. He'd seen photos of sick children, and instead of looking away, he'd decided to help, quietly, consistently, for years. She said that young man had taught them something important, that real generosity doesn't need recognition, that real help doesn't require applause, that real love is quiet, persistent, and asks for nothing in return. The families of children who'd been saved by the treatment filled the room. Some of those kids were now teenagers, healthy, alive, thriving, because someone had believed in research when nobody else would, because someone had funded hope when hope seemed impossible. Justin attended the ceremony. He stood in the back, didn't make a speech, didn't want attention, he just watched. And when Dr. Chen finished talking, he quietly slipped out. Because that's who he was. That's who he'd always been. Finally, the truth was out. Justin Bieber had donated $76 million to cancer research over 9 years. Quietly. Without bragging. just because kids needed help. And when he needed help himself, those same kids and families came back for him. Because that's what real help is. Quiet, sincere, and forever. If this incredible story moved you, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to help others. Have you ever secretly helped someone? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to turn on notifications because more amazing true stories are coming.